Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up to him!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Yeah, so we're using the VRS Direct Force Pro this year. We have a wheel adapter right here, so I'm using the rim I used last year, but the motor right here produces a lot of power, a lot of precision, and it helps me, just feel the car more, feel the car a lot quicker, especially, this week we're at Sonoma. I can feel it, when it hits the curbs, any little change in the car, the wheel reacts a lot quicker than your typical gear-driven or belt-driven wheel. For example, if you're on oval and the rear tires break loose, force feedback on it corrects a lot quicker than your typical wheels. There's no resistance pretty much as far as being able to make quick corrections on the wheel. So all that, paired with how precise the wheel itself is, it makes it to where it helps you as a driver, to find that extra hundredth or thousandths of a second. So when you're getting a direct drive wheel, especially the VRS wheel, it's heavy duty. It's got good weight to it, it's not a plastic toy. It feels like you can really beat up on it. A lot of people have issues with their plastic gear-driven wheels just kind of breaking after a couple years. This thing just feels like it can go forever. The forces are really strong where if you might have to let go of the wheel if you get into the wall. You can adjust all that with the settings on it and stuff, but the wheel itself doesn't play around. It's got way more strength than you could ever need, and that's what makes it good, that you can adjust that down to whatever the car needs. So initially you'll be able to get the controller box and the motor together, and eventually you will be able to add a rim onto that option. They'll also be including a button plate on it to put on the rim to have all sorts of different buttons and functionality. Also, pedals are coming, so that's a pretty big deal as well. Hasn't been covered too much, but the goal is to also have pedals to go along with the Direct Force Pro. So that's pretty exciting. The wheel feels good. It feels very much like a real world steering wheel. You just kind of feel like what you would imagine the car to feel like. A real steering wheel in a car is very smooth, it's very direct, very quick, and that's what this wheel feels like.
Welcome to the mountain, Mount Panorama Bathurst, for the session of Advanced Mazda MX-5 Cup series that is going to decide the season champion, more than likely, in this week 12 of the iRacing season. We are SimSpeed TV. I'm David Haynes with Nick Skariev and Jay Kennedy to cover this fascinating split that is going to be some really, really interesting racing on the mountain. It is a free car available to all on the iRacing service, plus one of not only Australia's best racetrack, but one of the best, most famous racetracks in the world, at Bathurst. So it is a fantastic combination for this strength of field time slot of Advanced Mazda MX-5. We've got some of the best points contenders here as well, because Nick, this is a almighty strength of field in comparison to what normally goes down. There is big points on offer.
Yeah, absolutely. There, Dave. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was something like almost 4 splits with such a strong field, and just almost casting our eyes through the field that we have here in the top split. And we've got some few old faces, a few new faces, and some really, really strong contenders that we've seen throughout this season.
Well, what kind of introduction does Bathurst need? We're going to give it one anyway. Here it is. And what a great track it is. Many famous corners, some very long straights, and always a challenge. The reward is great, but so too is the risk around Mount Panorama. You've got that run up towards Griffin's Bend, and then from there, for the middle part of the lap, all hell breaks loose. That's the real street circuit, but mountain, almost rally stage vibes to this track. Speed is found by really running it close up against the wall, using the road camber all the way through the cutting across the metal grate and then skyline. One of the most committed corners in world motorsport, and always an interesting place to watch good drivers, mediocre drivers, and everything in between. But what we have is some of the best drivers on the iRacing service today, so that is going to be a great place to see some action happen. And then of course the slipstreaming in these cars all the way back down the mountain on Conrod Straight. The speeds that they are going to hit here are unlike anywhere else that these cars go.
Yeah, that's right there, Dave. And it's just such a beautiful thing to see production car racing over here in Bathurst. Obviously, for so many years, production car racing was the pinnacle here at Bathurst, and it shared a slightly different configuration to what it does now with the addition of the chase. Just on board with Roberto Ferrari coming down around Forest Elbow there, so lining himself up down the straight. Oh, inch perfect there. You can see just dipping over that white line as he comes down Conrad Straight. But yeah, as you were saying, a lot of overtaking opportunities there on the straights. Usually everyone tries to toe the line as they go across the mountain. It's usually quite often single file.
And being an 8-minute qualifying session, I'm looking at the kind of lap times we're expecting, and the reality is this is hot lap qualifying, one shot. No one is going to be able to do an out lap and get around for 2 flying laps. So this has got to be good, but it's also got to stick. There'll probably be a couple drivers without a qualifying time at the end of this one, knowing how much performance is found by getting right up against the walls at the top of the mountain, lest not even including pushing hard as you can at every other corner. So Roberto Ferrari is the championship leader before this race. 1,559 championship points. Here's the driver who looks like they're not going to have a qualifying time. Mr. Scott Fountain has plebbed it a little bit up the top of the mountain and had to engage reverse gear to get facing the correct way. So he's going to start somewhere right at the back of the grid. Who else could challenge in qualifying? Could Caleb Hydes, for example?
Yeah, absolutely blistering pace there by Roberto Ferrari. We've seen such a dominant performance from him, especially through some of these European rounds that we've had in the past few weeks. So we're hoping that a few of the Australians that we've had drop in, the likes of Manif, I think Mitch McLeod as well there, as well as Caleb Hydes, hopefully might try and stick him on the sword, so to speak. But still at the moment, Scott Fountain, Caleb Hydes, and Dylan Golson still without a lap, as well as Timothy McReynolds and Matthew Cuneen.
Yeah, I'm seeing McReynolds, Cuneen, and Goulson as in the pit lane and without a time, so they're not going to get out for one. They might have come to grief somewhere on their out lap or on their flying lap. No problems there at the chase for Caleb Hydes. This isn't a car that really wants to ride across the curbs there, but he has, well, just tried to turn it in, ride it across some of the curb, and now straighten it up for the run off the final corner. A very short run off that corner to the checkered flag. And for Caleb Hyde, it's going to mean a 2:30.4, and it's going to mean pole position the way it runs at the moment. We think, given 2-minute, 30-second laps for pole, you'd have to leave pit lane in the first 20 seconds or so of the session to be able to get around for 2 flying laps. There are a couple that might be able to do it. Hayata Osaga is 3rd in the championship standings right now, overall, all divisions considered. So this is still a driver who, if they won today, could pick up a big haul of points to improve their best 8 scored weeks that count to the championship.
Yeah, what an effort there by Caleb Hydes. Just sneaking on the pole there. We'll see if Hayata Osaga can knock him off there. You can see how wide they go into that last corner there. 2 minutes 30.4 to beat. Unfortunately, that's not going to be good enough with a 2:31.178.
Daniel Gray's not going to get a second time. Quite a problem at the chase. And just a couple seconds left in the session. Is there any other driver just squeaking home? Wayne Losh improves from 15th to 14th with a 2:32.5. 4 drivers without a qualifying time are going to start from the back, but up the front, at the opposite end of the field, Caleb Hydes pole half a second ahead of Roberto Ferrari. Then occasional TCR Australia competitor Lachlan Maneth in 3rd. Then Cooper Allen, Hayata Osaga starting out of 5th, sharing row 3 with countryman Atsushi Maeda. And then it is, I'm assuming that's Mitchell McLeod, right? With Yasuta Shiraiwa. Oh, no, then there's Mitchell McLeod and Daniel Gray, and then Tarawaki Katso and Togo Hisada for the first 6 rows.
Yeah, on row 7 there, Sochi Takahashi, Wayne Losh there, as we just saw crossover for 14th place, Anthony Redisius, Damien Seeger, Atushi Une, and M. Takui. Also, Enzo Hichida, Dylan Goulson, Scott Fountain, Matthew Kunin, and Timothy McReynolds rounding out the field there.
So it is a very healthy and very competitive field of 23 lining up for the standing start. And they use the staggered grid slots. That means that some of the cars right up the back are kind of around the final corner near the museum. Won't have time for that just yet. Timothy McReynolds is the very last car on the grid, and he's just on a little bit of an angle there. But I think he'll be able to launch straight and then make the turn. So cold tires for lap 1. This is a 45-minute race coming up, so a little longer than some of the 25-minute sprints that also happen in this championship. But I think this is a circuit very deserving of a couple extra minutes of racing, and it's all about to start now. And they drop away, and from 2nd place, that is not a good jump from Roberto Ferrari, immediately under pressure. Lachlan Maneth down the inside. Cooper Allen's going to want to follow through there as well, but it means no dramas at all through turn 1. Caleb Hydes takes the full racing line and begins the power up mountain straight. Behind them, the slipstreaming all kicks off now.
They run through pretty cleanly there. Caleb Hydes, what an absolute run there off the line. But as we saw, Roberto Ferrari, I think, squeezed down to about 4th place there at the moment. So he's got a bit of work for himself to get back up there. And you can almost see that gap there established by Caleb Hydes, pulling about 0.5 of a second there, or almost 0.8 of a second on the first 2 corners.
So dramas launching off the line for Roberto Ferrari. Not a good run. Saw him get boxed out, and Maneth and Cooper Allen then up into 2nd and 3rd through the cutting for the first time. Well, you want to get to that apex. Someone was a little wide, and I'm feeling like it might have been Mitchell McLeod in 9th. Not many other big movers initially. It gets a little bit single file if you know what's good for you in these opening laps across the top of the mountain. Tarawaki Katso has a good view at that bumper as they come towards the metal grate and towards Skyline. Oh, real cheeky to have a look there, and it's led for contact. Daniel Gray off the track. Really not sure what was going to go well there. And then cutting Skyline to avoid contact.
Yeah, was hearing just over the chat there, I think Daniel Gray might have been a bit excited knowing that this race was broadcasted, but we're looking just at the front there. So Caleb Hyde's breaking off to about 1.1 seconds. So really trying to get that hammer down to break that draft there to Lachlan Manif will absolutely work there into Caleb's favour if he can break that draft there, because he's going to get a really clean run home there. So
Yeah,
really
so
big
close.
long game here.
Just within 1 second now. Manif, if he can string together a good lap here, will be able to stick with them. He's got Cooper Allen and Roberto Ferrari right behind him, and the slipstream game is going on. That is missing the chase there. That's going to be a slowdown penalty, no doubt, for Manif. I wonder, is he just going to be able to give it up? It's good news for Hides, though.
Yeah, absolutely there. So just as we were saying there, we're really relying on Lachlan Manif there to kind of stay on the back there, pulls out and pulls back in there and serves that slowdown. So did it reasonably quickly. So looks like he's back into it now. He's just pulled off the racing line again. So might have to let a few cars through, but you can see just how closely these MX-5s are bunched up. Only serving probably a 2 second or second and a half slowdown penalty there, but that's going to put him all the way down to almost 10th place there.
Yeah, really need to have served that earlier. You can see he's tried to clear it, it hasn't cleared, and then it's taken him all the way, past the pit straight and onto Mountain Straight before Manif's been able to clear that, and send him all the way back to 7th from 2nd place. So, a bit of a free kick for Caleb Hides, now 1.2 seconds clear of Cooper Allen, and then it's going to be a lot of work from there to try to get back in the game at the cutting, sending some others wide. That's one spot for Manif as he bullies Adam McLeod, and I think it's Maeda in front also. Might have run a little wide on that one. We are still seeing the pack racing typical of these cars across the top of the mountain. There's no passing. And then everywhere else on the lap, it is high speeds on Mountain Straight and on Conrod Straight that keeps them all stuck together.
Yeah, absolutely. What an overtake there by Lachlan Manif in the cutting. Don't normally see that too much. He did yell out on the race radio and apologise. It was probably maybe a little bit more aggressive than he would have liked to. Just coming and see through down through the dipper now, so everyone will be filing back into line, trying to line themselves back up there for Forest Elbow.
Oh, that is a problem there for Atsushi Maeda, one of our championship contenders, facing the wrong way at Forest Elbow. Not what you want at all. It's a tough corner. It's tricky on the way in. It's downhill. It can be blind. But as he clipped the inside wall, that happens sometimes. You get too aggressive. You hit the inside wall. That sends you to the outside wall. Is there damage? He's definitely lost a lot of time and a lot of positions. Going to try to pick up the replay here on Maeda.
Yes.
Somewhere at the elbow.
Yeah, Forest Elbow is such a tricky corner there with its really, really long apex there. So we'll see as it comes down now. You've got to pitch it in quite shallow, but almost looks like he was assisted from behind there. Just pitched a bit sideways, but did a really good job there of rolling out of the way. That could have been a real cause of an accident.
Has had some assistance getting around the wrong way. I think it might have just been a poor gear shift or a pedal failure or something. For Maeda there, just losing the rear in the middle of the corner. No contact with the ball, except later on. But there was some drama at the chase. And now, Cooper Allen is your race leader. Must have picked up a good slipstream on Caleb Hides and is a 4-car breakaway for the lead. Cooper Allen, Caleb Hides leading Roberto Ferrari and Hayata Asaga. So we're going to come up towards Bowes Folly at Griffin's Bend.
Yeah, this absolutely played into the hands there of Ferrari and Asaga. It almost looked like it was going to be a runaway race there by Caleb's Hides, but I think there might have been an issue potentially in the chase or something there. So we've had Cooper Allen take the lead now. So we know he's probably not as strong as Ferrari and Caleb Hides there. So it's going to keep this bunch in nice and tight.
I'm feeling like Hides just didn't quite have the 1 second on Conrod Straight, and the slipstream is real powerful in these cars, particularly up towards the top of 5th gear, so we'll sort of keep an eye on that one. Here's Manif trying to lead his recovery. He's up into 5th now, ahead of both McLeods, but then it is a big task for him. As you can see, him kind of defensive on the line into Skyline, which isn't great, and that's one of the things that'll make it a really, really tough task for him to get up and catch that top 4 behind him. Like a snake, like a line of marching ants down through the Skyline, everyone following the same racing line.
Yeah, I think I might have just heard someone actually smack the wall there, but it is almost like this pinball effect coming down the mountain. If you run slightly wide and clip the wall on one side, you're almost guaranteed to smack on the other side. Such an
That's
example
this.
there is there with Anthony Radicis. Fortunately,
Yeah, to grab reverse gear at the cutting. Let's take a look at what happened there. Was he maybe helped a little bit by
yeah,
Dylan
definitely.
Goulston? Heavy rear end contact with the tires. Well, not with the tires, just straight up with the concrete there.
Yeah, I think Dylan Goulston having a pretty rough race so far. Been in the thick of the action a little bit, yeah, definitely. Probably didn't allow too much room there, so.
Goulston was one of those drivers who didn't qualify, so maybe as he's working his way up through the field here as well, is just not anticipating that some of these other drivers are going to need to brake earlier than him, particularly in places like across Skyline and down into the cutting. I think it's just misjudged the drivers that he's racing with there towards the tail end of the field. Mitch McLeod has the fastest lap of the race on the lap just gone at a 2:30.7. So that actually bodes pretty well. Manif and McLeod have caught the top four a little bit, as they might be beginning to fight a little bit. Now, we're not sure, but we believe a pit stop might be required at some point in this race. So those stopping early now, like Cunningham, might not necessarily be the end of their game. Fuel mileage, a little bit of an unknown for me. Was there a little bit of a bump coming off the corner there? Cooper Allen got real wiggly, and Caleb Hyde obviously can't make a move, can't pass anywhere in this section coming up across the hill. So those two are going to remain in lockstep for the lead. They've managed to drop Ferrari and Asaga a little bit. And now right in the cusp. Oh! That's third and fourth. And they're going to spin across the track in a blind section. Another driver gets involved, and now another. Drivers are coming across the hill unsighted, as happens in the real world, and ploughing into that incident, making it an even bigger one. So I see Hasaga, Shiraiwa, Teruaki Kato, and Hayata Asaga all with damage, and Roberto Ferrari, yeah, also getting helped onto the wall. Don't know how Asaga thought. I don't know why Ferrari was defending the way he was, and I don't know how Asaga thought there was going to be a car width around the outside there.
Yeah, I actually think that incident might have started from the cutting. There was a bit of a piano accordion effect with, I think that Roberto Ferrari went into the back of Caleb's Hyde's, giving him some damage there. You can see that damage there on the front of his car. I think that actually slowed him down, and yeah, Asaga just taking a really optimistic line, which that corner there coming through the top of the chase there is just completely blind, so almost sitting ducks there as those MX-5s coming across that left-hander there.
Not holding the brakes as well, for sure. Let's have a look here. It's all going off at the chase again now as well. So here's Daniel Gray. There's smoke. How fast are we approaching this? Send it over and bang.
Yeah, we did see Daniel Gray sliding all over the track there. He was trying to limp it home to the pits, possibly to get a fast repair. And yeah, just as you said there before, I think we had a few incidents there at the chase. So whoa, just see it so often in these MX-5 races.
And then roll back onto the racing line.
Yeah, it's a pandemonium there in the MX-5 racing. We always usually see quite a lot of action there. We thought might have been lured into a bit of safety there in the first few laps. They're pretty incident free, but just seeing now Cooper Allen, Caleb Hydes with a fair 3-second lead there to Lachlan Manif. So Lachlan Manif maintaining that gap there at the moment. Just still seeing a few cars, seeing a lot of damage as well around the circuit.
Yeah, what if we now had 7 or 8 cars make a pit stop, basically all of them necessitated by damage. Then you add on to some of the walking wounded attempting to continue.
Yeah, seeing
testing fourth gear across Skyline.
Yeah, just seeing a few movers and shakers there. So all this incidents and whatnot has absolutely played into the hands of Mitch McLeod. So starting in 9th position, so up in 4th place, as well as compatriot Adam McLeod there, starting in 7th, up into 5th. So just seeing Roberto Ferrari, you can see how many people were affected by those incidents. So he's sitting in around 9th place there at the moment, and he was almost at the start of that pack there when those crashes started to happen.
So our top two, I think, just calm at the moment. Caleb Hyde's content to stay in line, not even doing need to bump Cooper Allen. The two of them just running down Conrod straight, 3 seconds clear of the pack that Manif is leading. And that includes Mitchell and McLeod. Nice run quite wide off the exit of the chase, and he's going to have to try to slot in between the two McLeods. He's given up 3rd place to Mitchell.
Definitely in a McLeod sandwich there. He's quite aggressive, pulling back in the line. So it's such a tricky, slow, square corner that you really have to try and apex it as best as you can. So he wanted to try and go wide as he could into the corner there. Wide again there. You can see him right over the top of that ripple strip. So coming up the mountain straight now, he's going to tuck right into the back of Mitch McLeod there.
Well, that's closer to a bump draft, I think. Looking into the car of Lachlan Manif. Once again, McLeod was the fastest driver that lap around. They play their cards right here. They've still got time to be able to close down the gap to Cooper Allen and Caleb Hydes. Is Manif going to let Mitch McLeod lead? Will calm heads remain in this pack, or will they get a little ahead of themselves?
You could almost say that would be the smart strategy there. If you're Lachlan Manif, you can absolutely see that Mitch McLeod is almost the fastest on the circuit at the moment. Overall there, it is a pretty big gap there of 3 seconds, but if you can almost push him down the straight there, they can kind of work together and close that gap down. So not forgetting, we've still got over half an hour still remaining in this race, so very much treated, I guess, like a sprint race from the start, but it's actually almost, you could call it a mini enduro.
First 15 minutes have had their share of action and carnage and damage. 14 of 23 cars running without making a pit stop yet. So down Conrod straight this time. Are we going to see Manif go for the overtake? Are we going to see him wait in line? Or are we going to see him try to give a bump to Mitchell McLeod? It is 3.1 seconds from McLeod to Hydes. What Manif does here is kind of critical. Manif is going for the position. Manif's going for the pass. I don't see McLeod defending that one. So Manif up into 3rd. As Cooper Allen remains in the lead. Is this the smart move, trying to swap it? A little wide on the first apex there from Manif, but this time he's going to hold on to 3rd through the chase.
Yeah, definitely a smart move there, I think, by Adam McLeod. Just sit in there. So we know that these MX-5s are racing on their radial tyres, and 45 minutes is actually probably almost the top of when the tyres do start to go off, when you really start to push it. So potentially saving your tyres through a race of this length is almost a smart move here. Is just looking a little bit further back there. I think that Dylan Goulson there, so started from 20th position at the back there, so sitting pretty well there in 6th place despite a bit of carnage earlier on.
That really picked off a lot of positions as other crashes have unfolded. We saw, some of them at the chase, some of them across the top of the mountain, some in some other places. So with the exception of maybe helping someone around at one point a little bit, Dylan Goulson's kept it clean other than that, and that's been rewarded with plus 14 positions. The only driver matching that is Timothy McReynolds, who just got past Atsushi Une and Atsushi Maeda for 9th from the very, very, very back of the grid. So in the mid-pack, there's some drivers doing some interesting things, making some moves, but up the front for the lead battle, Manif is still taking time out of Allen and Hydes. The gap to the leads come down from 3.4 seconds to 2.4 seconds, and you can now see Manif 2 seconds off the car in front. If he pulls out another half a second from here to the chase and onto Conrod Straight, then you're really getting close to that drafting window once you're at 1.5, 1.2 seconds or so, given the kind of speeds and the amount of time at wide open throttle that these cars do on long Conrod straight.
Yeah, great effort there by Lachlan Manif, absolutely pulling them back in there. It was almost hard to see if it was possible to still do that, and definitely for Cooper Allen, Caleb Hydes as well. So it could turn from a two-car battle where they were almost guaranteed to one of them get a second place to a five-car battle, as we just see Caleb Hydes there. He's going to take the position back there from Cooper Allen.
He's going to try. He's down the inside for the right-hander, and Cooper Allen slots in behind, but Hydes feels the need to defend it. Now back across to the racing line. Allen has a look down the inside, and this is what they didn't need to do. It's happening. Hydes and Allen battling through the chase means that Lachlan Manif is now within a second, and here's Hydes going for the pit lane. Cooper Allen going to follow him. Both of them are clouds in. Looks like Lachlan Manif staying out. So this is the start of real tactical, strategic pit stops, not just damage limitation.
Yeah, that is actually going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons there a little bit. I honestly thought that the MX-5s are fueled to be at, well, normally their fuel tank will be able to take a full load and go for about an hour or so. So whether or not they think that tyres or running a slightly lighter fuel load is going to play into their advantage, but that's really going to mix their fuel up.
Limitation in these 45-minute Advanced Mazda MX-5 Cup races. That's obviously what is in play today. Look at Dylan Goulson, by the way. He's clearly found speed by just knocking the mirrors off that thing. That going to pass post-race tech?
He's looking a bit like the Dumb and Dumber, the van with the sad dog ears on either side. But yeah, you are right there. 40% fuel limit, so that is something coming into play now. Seeing how people structure their fuel strategy, whether or not they get tyres as well. It looks like, judging by Mitchell McLeod's car there, he's just opting for fuel there at the moment.
It's real long. Is he coming to the pit lane too hot? 55 seconds is much longer than Adam McLeod, 17 seconds. Cooper Allen, 16. Caleb Hydes, 19 seconds. A little on the longer side. So that is really looking like it's going to cost Mitch McLeod compared to Manif and Goulson and I wonder if we'll see Manif in this time. But if this has been a good lap from Manif, I think the overcut could work.
Yeah, absolutely, getting that clear track time, but very unfortunate there for Mitch McLeod. That service road into the pits there at Bathurst is so tight, and if you do cut it, you generally will get around about a 40-second stop and hold there. So it does look like that's what's happened to him. As just on board now, looking back there at Caleb Hydes there. I think we're on board with Scott Fountain there, currently sitting in 10th place, starting from the back
as well, and holding up Caleb Hydes. That also plays into Lachlan Manif's strategy of going long, is he's also likely to get clear of the pit stop window to some of those drivers who haven't pitted yet. So Hydes would have ideally liked to have been ahead of Fonte. He wasn't. Here comes Manif attacking that pit entry road and then getting down to 50 kilometers an hour at the start of the pit lane speed limit at the yellow cones. That's the one that might catch you out as well. 50 is quite a slow pit lane speed limit, as Dylan Goulson's also going to come in as well. Togo Hisada has carried on and into the lead, and it looks like Shoichi Takahashi staying out as well, as Timothy McReynolds potentially as well. Oh, tyres there for Goulson.
Yeah, so potentially that might be a strategy that plays off there. We'll be able to go a little bit harder in the latter stages there. Manif not choosing to go ahead with the tyres there, but there we go. I think that is Cooper Allen there, well and truly clear of those, and does have, just trying to see who that's behind at the moment there, car number 4 of Caleb Hydes.
Reunited after their pit stops, and Hydes gets through. Of all the cars that have pitted, Hydes is ahead. So where did it go wrong for Manif? The overcuts put him way further away than Hydes and Cooper Allen. Did he also maybe miss his pit box? Did he overshoot as well? Because that's just a couple seconds too long in the pit stall, but then also a couple extra seconds too long in the lane. So the pit stop's not gone well for Manif, despite his on-track pace. It's like, oh, as Dylan Goulson clipped the inside wall there, we saw him taking tyres, but potentially only on the right-hand side. I really don't think these cars wear out the tyres that badly, especially on a cool track temperature of 23 Celsius. I think going for those tyres, sure, they might give you a little bit of something eventually, but I think suffering through the cold tyres is worse than any benefit they're going to give you, and that is why.
Yeah, absolutely had a
real
few
handful.
stabs there. Yeah, had a few stabs there going through the cutting as we're just looking there at Cooper Allen. So it is back to this 2-horse race there at the moment. Cooper Allen sitting pretty well there at the moment. They'll know that they've got a bit of a lead now to, well, definitely to Manif. So Manif's all the way down the order. I think that's going to move Mitch McLeod up. Oh, sorry, no, Mitch McLeod also down as well. So who does that hand to? I think it's Adam McLeod might be sitting in 3rd place in this group.
That's the next closest threat is Adam McLeod, 5 seconds back, then another 5 seconds back to Lachlan Manif, and then Goulson, and then Mitch McLeod another 20 seconds back off that, as we're seeing a few of the drivers who hadn't pitted yet coming in. There's only 5 drivers who hadn't pitted. Asada and Takahashi are in. Looks like Timothy McReynolds, Atsushi Une, and Atsushi Maeda are carrying on, but that makes them the only, Senzo Hisata, only 4 drivers left who haven't topped off their tank with fuel. If they could have gone a bit longer, it is honestly surprising that some of these guys right up the front pitted as early as they did, because they really did risk getting put back into traffic. And in their case, we saw for Caleb Hydes that did happen. He was just lucky that it was only 1 car.
Yeah, there we go. Seeing Cooper Allen there right on the rear bar, pushing in a little bit of a bump draft. He's going to sit in there for the moment, so not choosing to pick that inside line. Trying to conserve just a little bit. So still about 20 minutes on the clock. So still plenty of action left here as we're just looking a little bit further down the field here. Car 23 of Timothy McReynolds. So
You say further down the field, but it's technically the lead at the moment.
the effective field.
Yeah, Timothy McReynolds, Atsushi Une, Atsushi Maeda. All 3 of them yet to pit, but if you look at the lane times of everyone else, 41 seconds, 39 seconds, you subtract a little bit from the fact that the pit exit's further along than pit entry is, but you're still probably looking at a pit delta of somewhere like 30, 35 seconds. Would see these guys slotting back to 7th, 8th, or 9th, there or thereabouts.
Go and just see our leaders coming into shot there, so almost played in perfect. You could imagine Caleb Hyde's not wanting to get caught up in any lap traffic. Well, not lap traffic, everyone's racing for position, but having that pit traffic ahead of them, so they'll be able to pull in, and it's going to give him a clear road at the moment. You just see Cooper Allen just sitting a little bit further back there than what we've normally seen, but you can see that draft there visually, just how much he pulls him back in as they come through the chase.
Whoa, through the chase. That's a late look from Cooper Allen. Get ahead of Caleb Hyde. And then in front of them, was it one of these drivers missed the chase, and I think it might have been McReynolds, and he's now coming into the pit lane, leaving Une and Maeda to continue.
Yeah, so Sushi Une and Sushi Maeda choosing to stay out just a little bit longer there at the moment. Well clear there of Cooper Allen and Caleb Hyde. You can just see there in the background, so I don't think they'll prove too much of a threat to those two at the moment there. You can just see a little bit of damage there, I think, on the back there of Maeda's Mazda there. Bit of a sign from some of the carnage that we had a little bit earlier on in the piece.
So 232.4 for Cooper Allen, 232.8 for Adam McLeod, who's net 3rd. So he's not really catching these guys, but who is flying on the last lap is Dylan Goulson, 231.6, so close to matching his personal best. I think they've gotten through the worst of the tyre warm-up woes and just looking at trying to pick a spot off Manif. Could end up being net 4th place or so. That's probably the target here for Goulson. So you can see how the lap deltas look.
Yeah, and he is going to be he's just outside that draft window there at the moment, so just has to push a little bit harder there, and that'll potentially might need him another position. So such an excellent effort there from 20th position there on the grid to pull himself up through the field here.
Sure is, in an out-and-out sprint race format, I think working through the traffic would be a lot more difficult, but use the pit stop timing to some advantage, and then also I think skillfully managed to weave through some of the incidents that happened on track. One of the drivers who hadn't pitted, Enzo Hichatsa, is just in front here, but is on the first flying lap after their pit stop, being pursued by Wayne Losh, who's been involved in a couple wheel-to-wheel accidents so far in this race I've seen.
Yeah, well, I was just about to say Wayne Losh having a pretty quiet evening, but actually probably not so much the case. It's actually been quite action-packed with a lot of drama there. So Sushi Maeda into the pits there, so that's just leaving Sushi Une there as the sole Mazda that hasn't pit out in front there. Just looking at Cooper Allen and Caleb Hydes. I do believe that's Adam McLeod there as well. So Adam McLeod is going to be at the disadvantage, not being able to swap off and make the most of that draft.
Putting in near identical lap times to first and second as well at the moment. Again, Goulson flying has set a personal best, is now into the slipstream of Lachlan Manif, and they've well and truly undercut at Sushi Maeda, so they are going to move another spot up the timing and scoring pylon for these guys. And that's missed the apex at 2, where you really do want to use the crown of the road on the inside to help you turn. So it hasn't gone where Lachlan Manif wanted to point it initially. It's a lot pointier looking through the cutting. Nevertheless, I think Goulson is definitely looking stronger than Manif at this point.
Yeah, absolutely there. So I think Lachlan Manif just might be struggling a bit with the pace there. He did yell out something on the race radio that just missed there. So potentially, Goulson definitely lining up for the straight there at the moment. Not like unable to split a hair between these two at the moment. So Goulson right on the back there. We have to give a little bit of room there coming through the dipper here.
Right, it's actually no sense to be right at their rear bumper down the hill here. You're absolutely fine in a situation like this, being 3 or 4 car lengths back, getting a good run off Forest Elbow here, and then using the slipstream to get past and not leaving your opponent time to then slipstream back past you again, which is what might happen if you were right at their bumper and tried to pull out halfway down the straight. So what is going to happen into the chase this time for Cooper Allen and Caleb Hydes? Caleb Hydes, is he looking down the inside? I think he's just waiting again on this occasion. Goulson, I really thought was going to be a lot closer by the end of Conrod Straight than he was that time.
Oh, bit of a wiggle there, I think, from Manif, running wide just over the grass there, but keeping it on there at the moment. He's really maybe just overdriving it ever so slightly there. So Sushi Une into the pits now, so that gives that lead back to Cooper Allen.
Sure does. So then the adjusted order, now that the field has all run through pit lane, it's going to look like Cooper Allen and Caleb Hydes battling for the lead. Adam McLeod, bit of no man's land for third, but maybe he's on average catching the lead as a tiny bit. This doesn't feel like enough at the moment. Then Manif and Goulson are battling for 4th and 5th. And Gulson run coming up towards turn 2. If you get down the inside here, that's where you want to be. That's where the grip is. And Manif has basically given the spot away to Dylan Gulson. Is Gulson going to be able to leave him for dust across the top of the mountain here? Or are we going to see them go back and forth for the remaining 6 laps?
Yeah, potentially you could see maybe Manif's just sitting on the back there trying to see if they can pull themselves onto that 3rd position there of Adam McLeod. So just on board there with Manif there. Just see them really riding those curves as they come over the back of the circuit here.
Indeed, Manif has no troubles sticking with him across the top of the mountain here. I wonder if there is any maybe little bit of niggling aerodynamic damage or something for Manif after some of the off-track excursions. Maybe he's just missing a kilometre an hour or 2 in a straight line somewhere, because it seems all fine across the top of the mountain where he's sitting now. We're going to see shortly as he gets a pretty aggressive run through Forest Elbow, maybe just giving a kiss to the inside concrete barrier, if he's going to be in position to be able to strike. Caleb Hyde certainly is if he wants to. But does he want to?
Yeah, you can see Cooper Allen really covering off that inside line and just moving out to the middle of the circuit there. We can see Manif is definitely going to take that position back from Gulson. Gulson with the inside. You can see that that mirror of Manif. Both of them pushing so hard there through the chase, but it gives the advantage back to Manif.
That mirror is just hanging on by a thread. Probably gonna shed that somewhere. It can't hold on like that forever, the way that they're going across the curbs. In fact, did he lose that mirror when he clipped the inside of Forest Elbow?
Yeah, potentially. We've seen a few people come across there over the top there. So we've just seen Scott Fountain at the moment under attack there. I think that is Yusuda Chihuahua. Up the order a little bit from 15th place. Oh, sorry, 10th down the order, not up the order. Started in 8th, currently in 15th. We've seen Fonty do pretty well, starting from the back of the field there. Bit of a wiggle coming out of the corner there, but has done really well starting from the back, currently in 14th place.
He was doing well before his pit stop, which he's obviously plebbed up a little bit. He might have been caught speeding on pit lane, but then similar can be said for Yasuta Shiraiwa, who I think had to make some repairs earlier in the race. Both of these drivers have had a long pit stop. See some battling over 14th and 5th. And the Kiwi in front's trying to absorb the pressure. Elsewhere, Gulson got back ahead of Manif, so they've been swapping that back and forth for 4th and 5th. And at the lead, not a lot has changed, but this is pressure mounting on Cooper Allen as we get into the final 10 minutes of the race. It's going to be 4 laps to go at the line. It's super speedway stuff almost, where you just want to set up in the right place for the run on the final lap.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And with these cars being such a strong aerodynamic, it's almost that you want to be second wheel on that last lap there. You probably don't really want to be leading going to Forest Elbow, because you can just watch this advantage now that Caleb Hyde will be able to pull up on Cooper Allen. So you can just see him reel in. Just as they go through the kink here into the chase, he'll be right on that rear bar there of Cooper Allen. So he'll be thinking in his head on how to plan out the next few minutes. Where I've only got 9 minutes to go now, so it's only going to be about, I think, 3 or 4 laps or so. So not too much left in it now.
And now Manif is back ahead of Gulson for 4th, and that's going to change again because Manif is off the road at the chase again. And underneath the bridge, he's lucky to keep it on the grass and keep it out of the wall. He is now giving up a slowdown, I think, as well. Only caught the end of that, but that has been the Achilles heel for Manif, throwing it really hard into the chase, sometimes hitting the first apex and then running wide of the second one. Here it is. Gulson's got just a cheeky look down the inside. Then Manif runs in way too deep, skips a whole heap of the corner, slides off and then onto the grass on the opposite side. And Achilles' heel, other than just that corner, has also been having to give up the slowdowns for Manif, who seems like he's been stung a couple of times by the late and the overdraft fees.
That's very impressed by, I think, Manif seeing, look, he didn't even lift the whole time. You can see they're absolutely on the limiter as he's going across the grass there. So not exactly what you want there, but it really shows the tenacity that he has tonight in racing, and it is showing there, still holding on to onto that 5th place.
Last managed to stay within that critical 1 second for the slipstream there. It was a risk of giving away that pack. There is your famous metal grate. As you see the leading 2 come through, and Adam McLeod still just 3.8 seconds back. Mitch McLeod's on a bit of a tear. I think he's looking to get back into the top 10 as well. He's got Timothy McReynolds that he's been lapping a second a lap faster than, who's now only 1 second up the road from him. See the precision of some of our leaders. Skyline, the Apex, all the way down into the S's and the Dipper, where these cars really get a little bit of air. They get so light at the Dipper and across the top of the hill, and that's half the skill, is just floating them in the right direction without losing the rear.
Yeah, just catching up some of our midfield at the moment there. Whoa, that's a bit of an unconventional line there through the Dipper. I almost thought that they were hugging the wall there as they went through, but everyone battle for 6th place at the moment there. Sada, Takanashi, and Maeda as well. So both Sushi Maeda and Une, they're leading the race for a little bit, choosing to take their pit stops just a little bit later than everyone else. So they're sitting reasonably well. I think they're in around 8th or 9th position there at the moment. Just have a look there at Mitch McLeod, currently sitting in 11th.
He has caught Timothy McReynolds quite quickly, as expected. Now, it's a bit where the track comes back up the hill at Conrod Straight, where the slipstream really gets strong. I think McLeod's stalled out a little bit, or he's waiting, or just wants to sneak it down the inside here at the chase. Not happening this time. Is there also potentially might have short-fueled it a little?
Yeah, potentially. He's had so much bad luck here in this race, so potentially cutting that pit entry there and possibly running into some other problems there. We're just looking, someone plagued with problems. Lachlan Manif there on the back of Dylan Goulson. Had all kinds of dramas with off tracks, and same with Dylan Goulson as well, opting to take tyres. So it's been a bit of a battle of attrition all the way through the whole field. I think aside from possibly the first 3 positions there.
Here you look again towards turn 2 at Griffin's Bend. McLeod is going to pop out of the slipstream to the inside, try to take away 10th place. And I think once you're fully alongside and on the inside line there, it is so tough for anyone to defend around the outside with how much more grip that inside line gives you. And then you can just park it on the racing line all the way up the rest of the hill here. So that is up into 10th for McLeod, who has the fastest lap of the race still credited to his name.
Really starting to get to the business end now between these two. So you can see that gap there. Hides is right on the back there at Cooper Allen, so he's going to be able to pull that draft through as they come through the kink on the chase there. So whether or not he's going to come through this time, he'll be wanting to almost count his laps backwards now and try and work out how to be that second wheel on the last lap there. So gives plenty of room there to Cooper Allen. Not wanting to show too much through there. Cooper Allen, just a little bit wide there on the grass there, but just saves it.
Nick and Goulson have swapped once again, as they seem very want to do. Manif back up into 4th, ahead of Goulson. All this not really helping them catch Adam McLeod much, but Manif, the previous lap, 31.8, was a second faster than McLeod. It's 2 laps to go now. This lap 1.2 seconds faster than Adam McLeod. They my goodness, they're trying to get one of them onto the podium, And then a battle pack behind them. Togasada, Shochi, Takahashi, Tsushi Maeda. I think there's a lap down car in there somewhere. Is it M Taki?
Yeah, potentially too. We're just seeing.
It's Maeda having a little bit of contact with Takahashi, who gets spun into the runoff at turn 1 and a bit of damage on the mirror as well. A late look to the inside from Tsushi Maeda. And it's put the nose to the rear bumper of Takahashi. Here is Goulson and Manif side by side in an unconventional place. Goulson's going to force his way down the inside at the cutting. Very shallow entry, but still hooks that inside line. And it's great for Goulson to get back up into 4th, but that's not how they're going to want to run if catching Adam McLeod is the plan. I can tell you definitely, white flag wasn't out that time. It will be out at the end of this lap. So they are running the penultimate lap of the race right now. And they might just have given up on 3rd place in 4th and 5th.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure what was going on there. I think actually Manif might have actually purposely ran wide to let him through there. But anyways, hopefully he's got enough fuel there to make the end. As you were saying, yeah, not too many laps to go there. So the white flag will come out this lap here. So it's going to actually put him over time, I think, by about a minute or a minute and a half there. So hopefully that they haven't got their fuel calculations too messed up.
Looks all about as predicted. So here, 1st and 2nd for the penultimate time, down the hill, down Conrad Straight and towards the big braking zone of the chase. Caleb Hydes in the slipstream, watching, waiting, just hoping for another Cooper Allen mistake, but otherwise just really thinking about this place in a lap's time to get down the inside, potentially. Cooper Allen's not a fool, though. I'm sure he knows that one is coming. But what would you do as the leader in this circumstance to try to defend from 2nd?
Yeah, that's right. And it could even be Mountain Straight there. It's just a few car lengths back there at the moment with Caleb Hydes. Want to be in a little bit tighter if he's going to try and get it done on Mountain Straight there. Coming through that first corner there, just out the road there, a bit of lap traffic.
Une and Takahashi. Takahashi, remember, spun in turn 1 on this lap, is now trying to get a spot back off Atsushi Une. So they are battling over what is now 8th and 9th. The 4th and 5th, Dylan Goulson and Lachlan Manif. Manif to the inside this time. I'm running out of hands to count how many times these two have traded this position, but eventually it's going to get set in stone. Eventually it's for keeps, and that's at the end of this lap because we are running the final lap of the race. Manif's gotten in really, really hot, gets out wide all across the wrong side of the curb, and Goulson comes back through on the inside and snatches 4th place back. Don't see these two catching 3rd place Adam McLeod, and I don't see him catching Cooper Allen or Caleb Hydes for the lead of the race. What could happen there? It'll all come down to the Conrad Straight, I am sure.
Yes, bit of action everywhere. Sorry, I was just actually caught off camera there. Maeda under a lot of Sushi Maeda there under a lot of pressure there at the moment, but we are going to stick with this more front group there at the moment there. Oh, Cooper Allen sideways coming through there. Defending pretty well there. This is going to absolutely have Caleb Hydes there. He's in really, really tight here as they come into Forest Elbow.
Yeah, you think all of the cards are in Caleb Hydes' hands at the moment. Bit of traffic in front, though, could put a spoiler on this. There are 4 battle packs out there as we are racing towards the checkered flag on the final lap. Caleb Hydes, what is he going to do? I think he's not quite got the run he would have hoped for. He's tucked right up behind Cooper Allen. No speed advantage. He's got to pull out to the inside. That's then going to become the outside in a second. Bit of traffic in front. Nose in front for Hydes, but still trying to defend the inside. Bit of a touch in the braking zone. Hydes gets in hot. Way too hot. Rallycross stuff for Caleb Hydes. That is going to be a mega slowdown for sure. Cooper Allen is going to be able to grab that spot back unless he redresses the tap. We're going to see who comes first to the line. It still looks like it's going to be Caleb Hydes. If he's cleared the slowdown, he's the winner. He looks like he thinks he's the winner. Cooper Allen for 2nd, Adam McLeod for 3rd, Goulson and Manif side by side out the final corner, and who grabs it? I think Dylan Goulson just holds on. McLeod's going to go around the outside of Togo Hisada and Tsushi Maeda, who are out of fuel.
I was just catching us absolutely action everywhere all at the same time there. We had a big accident there coming down on the Conrod Straight. We might have to catch up that again, but we saw, might have just accidentally caught it off camera, but Mitch McLeod went through the grass there around those two, so not too sure what's happened there, but he's going to come through for a pretty solid, I think that might be about 6th place or so. 8th place.
Wow, so we're going to take a look at that. Definitely Atsushi Maeda and Togo Hisada got into each other, I think, at the start of the straight. Here they are. And Mitch McLeod, huge head of steam. Jay, what do we pay you for? Mitch McLeod, all 4 on the grass at 200 kilometers an hour to get around the Japanese roadblock. Here they are, getting into each other at the exit of the elbow. Messy stuff. That's obviously compromised their speed all the way down the straight here, and Mitch McLeod sees it.
I almost thought they were driving in formation there as they were coming through. I didn't realize it was those two that had that accident coming out of Forest Sobo there. So we've had 2 MX-5s almost hooked on each other. It's also let, I think that might have been Takanashi there and Une sneaking through on those two.
This is the replay we deserve to see. Mitch McLeod sees 2 slow cars side by side in front of him. Pick a lane. I might have gone to the right, but he decides that's a car width on the left, on the grass, all in the grass, down the straight. 2 for 1, and nabs them on the final lap. That's a decent recovery after butchering the pit stop. He wasn't alone in that. It looks like himself, Scott Fountain, Yasuta Shiraiwa, and some others might have also been caught speeding on pit lane. It's quite a slow one, and this is some of the last drivers around. Take the checkered flag. Anthony Raditsis was gonna go a lap down in the chase there until Caleb Hydes and Cooper Allen got into each other and did a bit of off-roading, and then I think Cooper Allen sort of let Hydes hold that position, getting into him. Dylan Goulson, though. Dylan Goulson must have had a slowdown penalty still over his head as he crossed the line. He's been dropped from 4th to 11th, which means another position on the final lap for Shoichi Takahashi, Atsushi Une, and Mitch McLeod. So all drama from start to finish. More than 45 minutes plus overtime of action at the mountain. And now that we can lock in the results, so to speak, it's Caleb Hydes who wins from Cooper Allen, the podium completed by Adam McLeod. Lachlan Manif, fight of his life for 4th. Then Takahashi from facing backwards in the turn 1 runoff on the penultimate lap is going to get scored in 5th place, ahead of Atsushi Une, Mitch McLeod, Atsushi Maeda, Togo Hisada, Timothy McReynolds. Dylan Goulson is then back in 11th. He has had a whole heap of time added post-race for either, is that going to be either exceeding the incident limit on the final lap or a slowdown penalty? Either way, he's had a black flag waving for him as he's taken the checkered flag, and the time has been added post-race, 40 seconds or so. And Wayne Losh in 12th, Scott Fountain in 13th, Enzo Hiseta in 14th, and Yasuta Shiraiwa scored as the last car on the lead lap. That is correct. Ahead of Roberto Ferrari, your championship leader, not grabbing a whole lot of points in the final round. This will definitely look like a drop week for him. The question is, has anyone else picked up enough to jump ahead of him? And I don't think so. So then it's Matthew Cunningham, Anthony Raditsis, M. Taki, Hayata Saga, Damian Seeger, Tadawaki Katso, and Daniel Gray never left as retirements. You caught your breath?
Oh, absolutely. I think, on that last lap we had incidents all the way down Conrod Straight to the start-finish line, I think, with about 10 cars doing all different kinds of things. So what an absolute way to end the Advanced Mazda MX-5 Cup series. So this will be the last round for this season. I think we're going to be mixing it up on Wednesdays going forward.
And of course, keep all your social media tuned to SimSpeed TV if you want to be up to date with what our broadcast schedule is going to look like post week 13 and into the next season. Indeed, there are still some things coming, maybe some things to be announced as well. My goodness, what a great race though. And with a 3,500 strength of field, Caleb Hydes, Cooper Allen and Adam McLeod really pick up some strong points in the strength of field race for week 12 at Bathurst. Once again, I've been David Haynes, joined by Nick Skariev and produced by Jay Kennedy. Exciting little action machines are these Mazda MX-5s, and there is no better track on the Australian continent than Bathurst. No matter what cars you bring here, it is action, it is excitement, and my goodness, we saw a whole heap of drama and positions change from lap 1 all the way to the drop of that checkered flag, and even maybe in the steward's room post-race as well for poor Dylan Goulson. Hope you've enjoyed this show. Congratulations to our winner once again, Caleb Hydes. And from SimSpeed TV, we will see you again soon. Follow us on all of our platforms, YouTube, Twitch, and our Facebook as well. Always plenty of exciting broadcasts from the world of sim racing. See you soon.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything else. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?